If you don't understand how to make a call out to an external system but using Flow, then this is the only video that you need to watch. So in this video, I will not only explain you how to make a call out, but also I'll explain you each step and the reason behind each of the steps. So you just bluntly don't follow the steps that I do, but I'll explain you each step and what is the use case and why am I doing each of the steps. Okay, so that you can tweak it if needed because you understand it very well now. Okay, so before we get started, I would like to tell you guys that I have launched an integration masterclass. Okay, so basically it's a recorded session where you can watch pre-recorded sessions and you can understand different types of the integrations which are available and which can be done using Apex. So this is only REST integration, no SOAP integration. So if you want to learn it integration using Apex, then you can watch out this masterclass. The link is provided in the description. So let's get started. So first of all, let's try to understand what we are trying to do here. Okay, so we have a Salesforce org, and that Salesforce org is going to go and make a call out to an external system, and that external system is going to send us the response back. Okay, so this is basically integration is. Okay, we extend the functionality or we pass the data from external system to other systems using Salesforce or using integration itself. Now, in this case, I'm using this as our external system. So this is api.rootnet.in, which is nothing but COVID-19 data. You can also find it. You don't need to log in or do anything at all. It's provided by the Ministry of Health and Welfare, I think so. I mean, they're sourced from the Ministry of Health and Welfare. So you can go to any of the URL and you can find the data in the form of JSON. Okay, so all the data is available. Anybody can access in this world, the specific part. So this is considered our external system for now. Okay, so here we are going to go and make a call out to that external system and we will bring back the response from here. So if we are going to do that, first try to understand over here. Okay, this URL where I'm going to make a call out, it's going to send me back the response. So if it's going to send me back the response, there is a possibility that it might send like malicious data or it might even hack my system. It might send some data which will hack my whole Salesforce off. Okay, so it might happen, right? So you cannot bluntly go and make a caller to any system that you need. Okay, you cannot do it. So for that reasons, you have to go and register a website with Salesforce. Okay, so if you are making a call out to this system, you have to register the website using Salesforce, or you have to register this website inside Salesforce so that Salesforce knows this is a and this endpoint is safe to make call out and it won't give any malicious data or any hacking kind of thing, right? So for that reasons, we do two things. We specify these URLs inside either remote site settings or either second one is name credentials. For now, I'm going to go and use name credentials. Okay, so if I click on new, I will be creating COVID-19. I'll say call out and I will name it as well. And the URL that I will provide is the base URL of this org to the external system. Okay, so I'm just telling Salesforce that okay, this URL is safe to make call out to. Okay, so that's what the name credential, the use of the name credential over here is. Okay, I'm just telling Salesforce that this is a safe website to make a call out to. Okay, but if you see right now, I have to give the external credentials as well. Okay, I cannot just bluntly go and give the URL and tell Salesforce this is all good, but you have to do something called as external credential as well. So if I click on save, it will give me an error stating that you have to provide the external credential as well. Now why do we need to do the external credential and what it is? Okay, let's try to understand. Because before creating name credentials, you need to go and create an external credential. So let's go ahead and create an external credential. But just to specify you, okay, external credential is nothing but specifies the way you do the authentication with an external system. What do I mean by that is, see, right now, this is an open system. Open system means anybody in this world can go to this URL and access this data without any problem. But let's say, what if it was Facebook, right? Let's say the external system that I was making a call out to, what if that was Facebook? Then if it was Facebook, if I was a person, like as me as a person, if I want to see my own data, like my photo, my profile, my tweets, or anything like that, if I want to do that, even I need to log in. So even Salesforce also needs to log into that external system. It cannot just bluntly go and make a call out. Even Salesforce need to log in and authenticate itself. Okay, and there are different ways with which we authenticate with the external system. Okay, so if let's go ahead and create a external credential. If I click on new, so I'll say COVID-19 external credentials, and I'll copy and paste the name as well. And I will specify the authentication protocol. Authentication and protocol is nothing but the way, the protocol with which I am going to do the authentication. Authentication means you just authenticate yourself. Like, okay, I am a authorized user to this org, right? Whatever external system you're trying to do access, I'm an authorized person to do that. So for that purpose, you need to do the authentication, and there are different ways to do the authentication or authentication protocol. That is AWS signature, a basic authentication, and custom JWT, no authentication, or 2.0. In our case, this system is an open system. No authentication is required in this case. So for that reasons, I'm going to select no authentication. On the other hand, if I was going to do the integration with Facebook or some system where Salesforce also needs to log in as a user, I needed to log in. So Salesforce also needs to log in. So if I want to do the integration with this kind of system where Salesforce also needs to log in, then in that case I will select the specific protocol. Like usually OAuth 2.0 is selected. Now, if you select O or 2.0, then there is something called as identity provider you have to provide. This is nothing but, see, if you are trying to go and try to access Facebook data, okay, where you need to log in. So even say, as you as a user, if you wanted to see your own profile, you need to give some username and password. Similarly, Salesforce will also have some username and password which we call consumer key and consumer secret. That consumer key and consumer secret are usually stored inside the identity provider. Okay, so the credentials are stored inside the identity provider, and then this external credentials specify the way with which I am going to do the authentication with an external system. So here right now it's an open system, so the way I'm going to do the integration with that or authentication with that external system is no authentication. Okay, so name credentials I specified. External credentials also I told you guys that it's specifically used to define the way or the protocol which I'm going to follow to do the authentication. If you select OAuth 2.0, you have to provide the identity provider as well. Okay, so there is something called as identity provider as well. Let me copy this once, and there is something called as identity provider over here. Okay, if you are going to use or create any identity provider, if I click on new, so if you see, I have to provide the client ID and client secret. This is nothing but the place where you store the like credentials. Okay, this is where you store the credentials or the consumer key and consumer secret or username and password. You store the credentials, username and password over here. You refer the same credentials over here while creating the external credentials. If I select over 2.0, I will select the same uh, external credentials or external auth provider that I've created. That is nothing but the consumer key and consumer secret or the credentials of the external system, and then specify the way I'm going to do the authentication and do the authentication. But for now here, I will select no authentication in this case. Okay, as this is an open system, so I'm selecting no authentication. Let me click on save. Okay, so the name should be having no spaces at all. So I'll remove the spaces in between and let's click on save. Okay. So now what has happened is that we have specifically went and created an external credentials. Okay. Next, what you need to do is you need to create something called as principal. Now, what exactly this principal is? Okay. Principal specifies who is going to log in or identity of the person who is trying to authenticate or trying to do the integration. Okay, so in principle there are specifically two values. Let me go to it once. Okay, two values, something called as name principal and per user. Okay, the principal here specifies who is going to do, like, the identity of the person who is trying to go and do the authentication, okay, or do the integration, because integration is not done by everybody in Salesforce. Okay, there are specified users who will go and do the integration. Okay, so who is going to do that integration is specified with the help of principals. Okay, so let me go ahead and create a principal for now. So here I can see identity type name principal by default selected, but usually if the no instead of no authentication, if I would have selected something else, I would have got an option to select the per user as well. Okay, so what exactly this name principal and per user are? Name principal is nothing but when same set of creds are used to do integration. So for an example, if you and your friend are trying to open Netflix, but you both share same credentials, okay, you don't buy a different one. What you guys do is you buy one and then you both use the same credentials. That's called as name principal. In simple words, if an external system or Salesforce is trying to do integration with external system but uses the same credentials, like if there are n number of people who are trying to the person who is going to do the integration with the system, and all like both of them are using the same credentials, then this is what is called as the name principle. On the other hand, per user is nothing but if they both are going to go and use the separate sets of credentials to do the integration. Or a real world example would be you and your friend both bought different sets of credentials to go and access Netflix. Okay, so that's per user. For now, if I'm going to create name principal, let me create a name principal and I will say COVID-19 integration. Okay, this is the principal and which specifies who will be able to do the integration. Okay, the principal defines that. Now once principal has been created and everything has been created successfully, let me go to name credentials and let's go and create an actual name credentials which we were doing initially. So I'll specify the name as COVID-19 integration YT YouTube for an example, and then I will remove the spaces out of the name and the URL. Most probably it will be the base URL that I'm going to give, and the external credential, which is nothing but the way I'm going to do the authentication. I will specify the COVID-19 external credentials which I just created. Okay, and rest of the things you can keep it as it is for now, and let's click on save. Okay, so our name credentials has been successfully created. Okay, so if you remember, under this external credentials I created something called as name principal which specifies who can do the integration. Okay, as it specifies who is going to do the integration, I need the access to this principal. Okay, whoever has the access to this principal, only go they can go and make a call out. Okay, only though they can go and make an integration or make a call out to that external system. So for that reasons, what I will do is I'll go to my user and I already created few permission sets. So I will say sample callout permission set which I already have. Okay, I will go to the permission sets called as the part of the external credentials principal access. I will go to it and I'll give the access of the principal that I just created. Okay, that is COVID-19 integration, right? If you remember. So I created COVID-19 external credentials, COVID-19 integration principal. So you can go ahead and give the access to the external credentials and the principles of it. Okay, principal is nothing but define who can make a call out. So you gave the access to that principal and then you're specifying, okay, this integration course user now is good enough to make a call out because he has access to this principal, and principal specifies who can make a call out. Okay, now every step is ready, everything is ready. Okay, name credentials, just to specify the website is secure to make a call out. External credentials specifies the way I'm going to do the authentication. Principal specifies who is going to make a call out, and there was something called as auth provider as well, if external auth provider, which just stores the credentials. Okay, now our task comes to go and create a flow. Okay, let's go ahead and create a flow, and I will select screen flow for now, and I will select freeform, and I'll add a screen. I'll say make call out first screen, and then I will just add a display text for now just to show confirmation message. Are you sure you wanna call out? I'll say done. Next, what you need to do is you need to pull out the action, and in that action, select something called as create HTTP callout. Okay, I'll say COVID-19 callout for now. Okay, I'll name it as COVID-19 callout. And here, under this name credentials, I'll select the name credentials that I just created, which was, I think so, where was it? In COVID-19 integration YT. Okay, which automatically even the base URL as well, api.rootnet.in. Let's click on next. And then you need to specify the leftover URL path. Okay, but let's first of all give the name. Okay, I'll say making callout to COVID-19. And what method I'm going to use? Specifically, I'm going to use the get method because I want to get the data from that external system. So I'll use the get, and then I'll give the rest over path. Okay, so the rest over path is this slash COVID-19 slash the latest. I mean, I just gave the base URL over here, right? If you remember, the name credentials, I just gave the base URL. On top of it, if you want to give the leftover URL, you can give it. Right now, I have this URL. If you want, you can also set the parameters if you want to. Okay, but I'm not doing it right now because I don't have to give any parameters. So I've give the sub URL as well, and let's go ahead and click on next. Okay, now what we can do is there are two ways with which we can specify or we can understand what kind of response we are going to get. Okay, either you give the example, like you give the sample response to it. Okay, you can just give directly the whole response to it, and I'll say review, and it understands, okay, what are the different nodes. So for an example, success is one of the node. Okay, its value is boolean. Data is one of the node, right? Under data we have summary, right? Summary, and under summary we have total. So total is an integer, it automatically understands. So we can do it this way, or there is another way. What we can do is we can connect for schema and click on next, and here we can go and click on connect, which will actually go and make a call out to that external system and bring the data. Okay, so I will go this way because it is sure shot that the call out that I made is successful. Okay, let's click on save. Okay, and again I'll say COVID-19 final call out. Now we are making a call out to this specific external service. We are trying to get the method at this specific URL, and if we get the response successful, we will get it inside a 2xx node, or either there can be a default exception, or in we can also find the response code as well. Okay, let's click on done. Okay, and in the screen what I'm trying to do is I will go and try to print the summary total field out of it. Okay, so we make a call out and we bring the external system. I'll try to print the total on a screen. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring that screen. I'll say show call out data, and I'll say display text, and I'll say show data. And from here, if you remember, I told you, right, there is an actions, and under that there is something called as 2xx, which means if we made a call out, it was successful. So 2xx will have the actual data, the data that we have received, which will be inside 2xx. Okay, so let me go again, 2xx, and from that 2xx, I need to go to apex define. And if you would have understood till this point, we want the data from success data summary, and from that summary we need total. Okay, so I'll okay, let me go back again. COVID-19 2xx. We need to go to the data node. Okay, and out of the data node, I need to go to the summary, and from that summary, I need to go to total field. Okay, so if you see COVID-19 2xx, out of whole, I need to go to data. Data is nothing but this node, and from the data, I need to go to summary, which is nothing but this node, and then we need to go to total, which is nothing but this node. Okay, let's click on done, and if I get the data successful, let's make a save COVID-19 call out session. Okay, let's click on save and let's try to debug it whether it is working fine or not. I should get the values 4311912. Okay, let's debug it and I'll click on run. Are you sure you want to make a call out? I'll click on next, And as you can see, I am getting the data. Actually, I'm getting the data. Okay, you can see the whole response that I'm getting over here. Okay, so for now, this is how you make a call out to an external system using flows. Okay, all the steps I've explained. If you have any questions, you can ping me in the comment section. I'll surely try to respond and clear your doubts. Okay, so this is what I had to cover in this specific video. If you found this video helpful, I request you to please like this video and do subscribe to my channel.